Ho wiped the grease from his hands and stared at the last fighter ship in the hangar. 14 hours. He had worked for 14 straight hours fixing these damn machines. His back hurt. His fingers were sore. His head pounded from the smell of fuel and metal. He walked to his small office at the corner of the hangar and collapsed into his chair. The station brew sat on his desk, still half full from earlier. He grabbed it and took a long drink. It tasted terrible, but it did the job. The alcohol warmed his chest and made his tired muscles relax. Ho pulled up the station communication system on his tablet. He scrolled through the crew roster, looking at nothing in particular, just letting his mind wander after a long shift. Then he saw her profile picture. Commander Velthez. His boss, his superior officer, the Ice Queen of Frontier Station Kira's 7. She was Kryn, one of those aliens everyone said had no emotions. Her skin looked like blue crystal, smooth and cold. Her eyes were the color of winter ice. In 8 months of working under her command, Ho had never seen her smile. Not once. She spoke in clipped sentences, gave orders with zero warmth, and walked through the halls like a frozen statue. But damn, she was beautiful. The thought made Ho laugh. He took another drink. The brew was definitely going to his head now. He stared at her picture on the screen. Those eyes, they really did look like winter, like the snow back on Earth that he hadn't seen in 3 years. His fingers moved across the keyboard before his brain could stop them. "Your eyes remind me of Earth's winter sky," he typed. "Cold and beautiful. I bet I could warm you up if you gave me the chance." He stopped, read it again, laughed out loud. "Oh, you idiot," he said to himself. "You absolute drunk idiot." It was the stupidest thing he had ever written. Commander Velthez would probably have him thrown in the brig, or worse, transferred to some garbage station in the middle of nowhere. You didn't send flirty messages to your commanding officer, especially not one who treated emotions like a disease. Ho reached for his drink, and his elbow knocked the tablet. His heart stopped. The message showed, sent at the bottom. No, 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 no. He grabbed the tablet with both hands. He tried to unsend it. The system said message delivered cannot recall. He tried to delete it from his side. It didn't matter. She already had it. He tried to report it as a system error. The option wasn't there. Panic flooded through him like ice water. "I'm dead," he whispered. "I'm so dead." He stood up, sat down, stood up again. His mind raced through options. He could run, pack a bag and steal a shuttle, make it to the nearest planet before anyone noticed, change his name, become a farmer, never touch a spaceship again. But where would he go? The station was in the middle of nowhere. The nearest planet was 4 days away. They'd catch him in an hour. He could claim his account was hacked, but the message was sent from his personal tablet in his office during his shift. Nobody would believe that. He could apologize immediately, send a follow-up message saying it was a joke, a mistake, a moment of insanity brought on by too much work and too much station brew. But what if that made it worse? Ho sat in his chair and put his head in his hands. 6 minutes had passed since he sent the message. 6 minutes of pure terror. His career was over. His life on this station was finished. Commander Velthez was probably writing up his termination papers right now. Then he heard it. Footsteps in the hangar. Heavy boots on metal floor, walking with purpose, coming straight toward his office. Ho's blood turned to ice. He knew those footsteps. Everyone on the station knew those footsteps. Commander Velthez walked like she owned every inch of ground she touched. Confident, precise, unstoppable. The footsteps stopped outside his door. A knock, 3 firm raps against the metal. Ho couldn't breathe. He couldn't move. He sat frozen in his chair like a criminal waiting for execution. The knock came again, harder this time. "Mechanic Ho," her voice came through the door, cold, professional, with zero emotion. "Open this door." His legs moved on their own. He stood, walked to the door. His hand shook as he pressed the button. The door slid open with a quiet hiss. Commander Velthes stood there in her full uniform. Tall, perfect posture. Her crystalline blue skin seemed to glow in the hangar lights. Those ice-blue eyes locked onto him with an intensity that made his stomach drop. "Commander," he managed to say, his voice cracked. "I can explain." She said nothing, just studied him with those cold eyes. Her face showed absolutely nothing. No anger, no disgust, no amusement, nothing. The silence stretched between them like a blade. "The message," Deho started. "I didn't mean to. I mean I was drinking and I accidentally. What I'm trying to say is—" "May I come in?" she asked. The question surprised him so much he stepped back without thinking. She walked into his small office. The door slid shut behind her with a sound like a prison cell closing. Deho's office was barely big enough for two people. With Commander Velthes standing there, it felt even smaller. She seemed to fill the entire space with her presence. He backed up until his legs hit his desk. She stood perfectly still, watching him, waiting. "I'm sorry," Deho blurted out. "I was exhausted and drunk and stupid. I'll accept whatever punishment you think is appropriate. Transfer, demotion, cleaning duties for a year, whatever you want. Just please don't end my career over one idiotic message." She tilted her head slightly. The gesture was so small he almost missed it. "Do you want to know something interesting about humans?" she asked. The question made no sense. Deho blinked. "What?" "You apologize before you even know if you've done something wrong," she said. Her voice remained flat, emotionless. "You assume the worst outcome and prepare for punishment. Your species treats mistakes like crimes." I sent an inappropriate message to my commanding officer," Deho said. "That's definitely wrong." "Is it? Isn't it?" Commander Velthes took one step closer, then another. She was close enough now that Deho could see the patterns in her crystalline skin, like frost on a window, beautiful and terrifying. "Let me ask you a direct question, Mechanic Deho," she said. Those ice-blue eyes never left his. "Did you mean what you wrote in that message?" His mouth went dry. Every instinct screamed at him to lie, to make something up, to protect himself. But he was so tired of being afraid. "Yes," he said quietly, "I meant it." Something changed in her expression, something so subtle that most people would miss it. The corner of her mouth moved, not quite a smile, not quite anything, but it was something. "Good," she said. Then she reached out and pressed the button to lock his office door. The lock clicked into place with a sound that made Deho's heart hammer against his ribs. Commander Velthes stood between him and the only exit. Her face remained unreadable. Those ice-blue eyes watched him with an intensity that made it hard to breathe. "Commander," Deho said carefully, "what are you doing?" "What I should have done months ago," she replied. Her voice was still flat, still emotionless, but there was something underneath it now, something he couldn't quite identify. "Sit down." It wasn't a request, it was an order. Deho sat in his chair. She remained standing, looking down at him. The power dynamic was crystal clear. "Do you know what the other species say about humans?" she asked. "That we're crazy," Deho offered. "Reckless, that we come from a death world and don't know when to quit. They say you're dangerous." She crossed her arms. "Not because you're strong, not because you're good fighters. You're dangerous because you refuse to accept reality." "I don't understand." "You look at walls and see doors," she continued. "You look at rules and see suggestions. You look at impossible situations and ask why not, instead of accepting what is." Deho shifted in his chair. "Is that a bad thing?" "To most species, yes. To the Kryn," she paused, "it's terrifying." "I'm sorry," he said automatically. "Stop apologizing," she snapped. The emotion in her voice surprised them both. She took a breath, then continued more calmly. "The Kryn are known throughout the galaxy as emotionless, Cold, logical. Do you know why? Because you don't have emotions. No, she shook her head, because we have too many. Diho stared at her. What? Commander Velthez uncrossed her arms. Her hands moved to her sides, fingers flexing like she was trying to hold onto something. My people feel everything intensely. Every joy, every pain, every desire, every fear. When we were young as a species, it nearly destroyed us. Wars fought over passion, murders over jealousy. Entire cities burned because someone felt too much. So you learned to control it, Diho said quietly. We learned to suppress it, she corrected. From childhood, we're trained to push down every feeling, to build walls of ice around our hearts, to never let the fire inside show on the outside. She looked away. The frost you see isn't because we feel nothing. It's because we're desperately trying not to feel everything. Diho sat forward. That sounds exhausting. It is, she turned back to him. Every moment of every day we hold ourselves back. We maintain perfect control. One slip, one moment of weakness, and we're considered damaged, broken, a threat to ourselves and others. That's why you never smile, Diho said. Understanding began to dawn. Why you never laugh or show any reaction. You're not cold, you're holding back a flood. Something flickered in her eyes. Pain, maybe, or relief at being understood. For 8 months I've watched you, she said. The admission came out quiet, almost vulnerable. The way you talk to the ships while you repair them, the jokes you leave in maintenance logs for the next shift, how you remember every crew member's name, how you smile at everyone, even the ones who are rude to you. You notice that? Diho's voice came out smaller than he intended. I notice everything about you. She took a step closer. The way you hum while you work, how you bring extra coffee to tired pilots, the fact that you've been using your own pay to buy better parts because the station budget is too small. You care, Diho. You care so openly and freely that it hurts to watch. Why would that hurt? Because I'm not allowed to care back. Her voice cracked, just slightly but enough for him to hear it. In Kryn culture, such open emotion is considered weak, dangerous, wrong. When I see you laugh with the crew, I want to laugh too. When you show kindness to someone, I feel warmth in my chest. When you walk past me in the hallway. She stopped, closed her eyes. When you walk past me, I have to remind myself to breathe normally. Diho stood up slowly. Commander Velthez. Don't, she said, but she didn't move away. I'm your superior officer. Fraternization could end both our careers. I could be court-martialed. You could be dishonorably discharged. She opened her eyes. They seemed brighter now, like ice catching sunlight. And if my people knew I had feelings for a human, if they knew I was losing control, they would send me home. They would recondition me, erase everything that makes me, me. That's insane, Diho said. Anger flared in his chest. They can't just erase who you are. They can, they do. It's considered treatment, not punishment. Then don't tell them. He took a step toward her. She didn't back away. We'll figure it out together. You don't understand. There is no figuring this out. The rules are clear. Humans spent centuries making rules, Diho said. He moved closer. They were almost touching now. Then we spent even more centuries finding exceptions when those rules got in the way of what mattered. And what matters here? Her voice dropped to barely a whisper. You, he said simply, this, whatever this is between us. For a long moment they stood there, close enough to feel each other's warmth. Velthez's crystalline skin seemed to glow brighter. Her breathing quickened. The iron control she always maintained was cracking, piece by piece. This is exactly why Kryn fear humans, she said, but she was almost smiling. Almost. You make the impossible sound reasonable. You look at walls we've built over thousands of years and suggest we just walk around them. Maybe that's not such a bad thing, Diho said. She reached out. Her hand trembled as it moved toward his face. Her fingers stopped just short of touching his cheek. If I touch you, if I let myself feel what I'm feeling right now, I don't know if I can go back to the cold. I don't know if I can rebuild those walls. Then don't, he said, don't go back. Her fingers brushed his cheek. The touch was feather-light. Her skin felt cool but not cold, smooth like polished stone. She inhaled sharply at the contact like she'd touched fire. I've spent my entire life being frost, she whispered. Being ice. Being perfect and controlled and emotionless. What if I don't know how to be anything else? Then I'll teach you, Di-ho said. He lifted his hand slowly, giving her time to pull away. She didn't. He cupped her face gently. One feeling at a time, starting with this. He leaned in. She leaned in. Their lips were centimeters apart. The station alarm screamed to life. Red lights flashed throughout the hangar. The emergency siren wailed loud enough to hurt their ears. Velthas jerked back like she'd been electrified. The moment shattered between them. Proximity alert, she said. Her voice snapped back to commander mode instantly. Multiple contacts, incoming fast. Pirates, Di-ho asked. She was already moving to the door. Pirates don't travel in groups this large. She unlocked the door and stepped into the hangar. Her entire demeanor changed. The vulnerability vanished. The Ice Queen returned. This is an organized raid. Di-ho followed her out. Through the hangar windows he could see ships dropping out of hyperspace. Dozens of them. Small, fast attack craft with weapons already charging. All crew to battle stations, Velthas's voice boomed over the station intercom. Back to cold. Back to professional, like the last 10 minutes never happened. This is not a drill. Scramble all fighters. Prepare for engagement. She turned to Di-ho. For just a second her mask slipped. He saw fear in her eyes, not for herself, for him. Get those ships ready, she ordered. Then quieter just for him, stay alive. She ran toward the command deck. Di-ho stood in the hangar, heart pounding, lips still tingling from the almost kiss, while the universe prepared to tear them apart. The hangar became chaos in seconds. Pilots sprinted to their fighters. Mechanics shouted coordinates. Warning sirens drowned out everything else. Di-ho ran to the nearest damaged ship, his mind already calculating what he could fix in the next 5 minutes. Not enough time, not nearly enough time. Through the hangar windows, the enemy ships grew larger. Vrex pirates from the look of them. Scavengers who traveled in packs and picked apart frontier stations like vultures. They usually ran when stations fought back, but this many ships meant they expected an easy victory. Status report, Commander Velthas's voice cut through the comm system. Cold, clear, in control, like she hadn't almost kissed him 10 minutes ago. We have 8 fighters ready, someone responded. 4 more in repair bay, 6 completely offline. Enemy count, Velthas asked. 23 confirmed, more jumping in now, 30, 35. Di-ho swore under his breath. The math was simple and terrible. 8 fighters against 35 enemy ships. They were going to die. Launch all available fighters, Velthas ordered. Pattern Delta 7. Focus on protecting the station core. Let them have the outer sections if necessary. Di-ho understood what she was doing. Sacrificing the outer ring to save the center. Saving the most lives possible. Cold logic. Perfect tactics. It would still get people killed. He looked at the damaged fighters. 3 of them had critical damage. Engine failures. Weapon malfunctions. Life support problems. But the 4th one, the one he'd been working on all day, it was close. So close. His hands moved before his brain finished the thought. He grabbed tools and spare parts. He pulled components from the 3 broken ships, an engine coupling from one, a power relay from another, a weapons system from the 3rd. He worked faster than he'd ever worked in his life. All fighters away, the comm announced. Engaging enemy. Through the windows, Di-ho watched the battle begin. Small bursts of light in the dark, fighters weaving and dodging, explosions blooming like deadly flowers. The station's defensive guns opened fire, but there were too many targets. Station taking damage to Section 7, someone reported. Hull breach. Seal it, Velthas ordered. Reroute emergency power to shields. D-Ho connected the final power coupling. The fighter's systems hummed to life. Lights flickered on across the dashboard. The engine coughed once, then held steady. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't safe, but it would fly. Fighter down, the comm crackled. Pilot Kim is hit. Engine failure, he's drifting. Send recovery, Velthas said. No ships available, Commander. All engaged. A pause, then, understood, continue engagement. She was leaving the pilot out there, because she had to, because saving one person might cost 10 others. D-Ho heard the weight in her voice, the pain she was hiding behind ice. He climbed into the jury-rigged fighter. What the hell are you doing? A mechanic named Ti-Yong ran over. That ship isn't certified, and you're not a pilot. I test fly repairs all the time, D-Ho said, strapping himself in. Test flying is different from combat. Yeah, well, watch and learn. D-Ho sealed the cockpit. His hands moved across the controls. He'd sat in these seats 1,000 times, fixed these systems, knew every bolt and wire. He could do this. He had to do this. The fighter lifted off the hangar floor. It wobbled. The engine made a grinding noise that definitely wasn't normal, but it flew. Unidentified fighter, identify yourself, came a voice over the comm. Not Velthas, some other officer. D-Ho switched to the command channel. This is Mechanic D-Ho requesting permission to join the fight. Silence. Then Velthas's voice, tight, controlled. Negative, you are not combat certified. Return to hangar immediately. There's a pilot drifting in Section 7, D-Ho said. He aimed his fighter toward the hangar exit. Someone needs to get him. You said yourself there are no ships available. That is not your concern, Mechanic. With respect, Commander, everyone on this station is my concern. He gunned the engine. The fighter shot forward. I'm going. D-Ho, that is a direct order. Return to the hangar. But he was already through the atmospheric shield and into open space. The universe opened up around him. Stars everywhere. Enemy ships swarming like angry insects. Explosions lighting up the dark. His fighter shook as he pushed it hard. Damn it, Velthas's voice came through. Not on the command channel anymore, on a private frequency, just between them. You absolute stupid human. I learned from the best, D-Ho said, weaving between debris. If you die out there, I will personally kill you again. Despite everything, he smiled. Noted, Commander. He spotted Pilot Kim's fighter spinning slowly near Section 7. The ship was dead in space, life support failing. D-Ho maneuvered closer. 3 enemy ships noticed him. They broke formation and came at him fast. You have 3 contacts incoming, Velthas said in his ear. Her voice was different now. Less Commander, more concerned. Evasive pattern beta. I don't know evasive pattern beta, D-Ho admitted. Then make something up. That's what you humans do, isn't it? Enemy fire streaked past his cockpit. D-Ho jerked the controls. The fighter responded, but not like a normal ship. It handled strange because it was built from 4 different fighters. The weight distribution was off. The engine timing was wrong. Everything about it was incorrect. Which meant nobody could predict how it would move. D-Ho dove straight down, then pulled up hard. The jury-rigged fighter groaned but held. The enemy ships overshot him, their weapons firing at empty space. He came up behind them and let his own weapons loose. 1 enemy ship exploded. The other 2 scattered. How did you do that? Velthas asked. I know how much stress this ship can take, D-Ho said. He was already moving toward Kim's fighter again. I know exactly what it can and can't do, because I built it. He reached Kim's ship, used his fighter's tractor beam to grab it, started pulling it back toward the station. More enemy ships came at him. He couldn't fight while towing, couldn't dodge. He was a sitting target. I'm coming, Velthas said. You're commanding from the bridge. You can't leave your post. Watch me. Two station fighters appeared beside him. They tore into the enemy ships with precise fire, beautiful flying, perfect tactics. Commander Velthas's personal fighter was easy to spot. She flew like she commanded, perfectly controlled, deadly efficient. "I have you covered," she said. "Get Kim to safety." "What about the station defenses?" "I'm transferring command." Her voice was tight, strained. "You don't get to be the only one breaking protocol today." They flew together, her providing cover, him towing the damaged ship. It was insane. The station commander abandoning her post to save one mechanic who was saving one pilot, but they were doing it anyway. Because that's what you did for people who mattered. An enemy ship came at them from above. Diho saw it too late, no time to dodge, the weapons locked on his fighter. Velthas's ship slammed into his, pushing him aside. The enemy fire hit her instead. Her shields flared bright, then collapsed. Warning lights filled her cockpit. "No," Diho shouted. "I'm fine," she said, but her ship was venting atmosphere. "Get to the hangar now." "Not without you." "Diho, please. For once in your stubborn human life, just listen." "Never learned how," he said. He released Kim's fighter near the hangar. Other mechanics grabbed it with tractor beams. Then he positioned his fighter next to Velthas's damaged ship. "We're going in together." "Your ship can barely hold one person." "Then we better fly carefully." The remaining enemy ships were retreating. The station's fighters had done enough damage. The pirates decided easier targets existed elsewhere. Within minutes, the sky was clear. Diho and Velthas limped back to the hangar together, both ships barely functioning, both pilots alive. They landed side by side. When Diho climbed out of his cockpit, the entire hangar crew was staring, not at him, at Commander Velthas. She stood on the hangar floor in her flight suit, hair messy, face flushed from adrenaline. She walked straight toward Diho, in front of everyone, in front of the entire crew. And she grabbed his hand. The hangar fell silent. Every person stopped what they were doing. All eyes focused on Commander Velthas holding Diho's hand. For a Kryn, this was not a small gesture. This was a declaration, a public admission of feeling. It was like screaming from a rooftop, and everyone knew it. Velthas squeezed his hand once. Her ice-blue eyes met his for just a moment. Then she released him and walked away toward the command deck. Her posture was perfect. Her face was carefully neutral, but the damage was done. The whispers started immediately. "Did you see that?" Commander Velthas just held his hand. "Kryn don't do that. They never do that." "What's going on between them?" Diho stood in the center of the hangar, feeling dozens of eyes on him. He wanted to explain, wanted to tell them it wasn't what it looked like, except it was exactly what it looked like. Tiang walked over, his face full of concern. "Brother, what did you just get yourself into?" "I have no idea," Diho admitted. The next 3 days were strange. The station buzzed with gossip. Everyone had theories. Some people smiled at Diho knowingly. Others avoided him entirely. Commander Velthas continued her duties with perfect professionalism, but something had changed. She was different. Softer, maybe, or just less hidden. On the 4th day, a Kryn military ship arrived at the station. Diho was in the hangar when the message came through. "Commander Velthas is requested to report to Conference Room Alpha, immediately." He had a bad feeling about this. 2 hours later, Velthas found him. She looked tired, the kind of tired that came from stress, not lack of sleep. "They sent an oversight officer," she said quietly. "His name is Commander Reshdar. He's here to evaluate my emotional stability and fitness for command." Diho felt ice in his stomach. "Because you held my hand." "Because someone reported unusual behavior." She looked away. "They reviewed the security footage, the hangar, the battle. They saw me abandon my command post to protect you. They saw the hand holding. They know something is happening." "What do they want?" to remove me from command before I become, as they put it, a danger to myself and others. Her voice was flat, but he could hear the pain underneath. Reshtar is interviewing the crew, reviewing my decisions, looking for evidence that I'm losing control. That's insane. You're the best commander this station has ever had. That doesn't matter to my people. She finally looked at him. They care about emotional discipline above everything else. A commander who shows feelings is compromised, unstable, wrong. Over the next 2 days, Reshtar interviewed everyone. He was everything Velthas used to be before Diho met her. Cold, emotionless, perfectly controlled. His face showed nothing. His voice never varied in tone. He was the ideal Kryn. When they called Diho in, he sat across from Reshtar in the sterile conference room. The Kryn officer studied him like a scientist examining bacteria. "Mechanic Diho," Reshtar said, "you sent an inappropriate message to your commanding officer 3 weeks ago, correct?" "Yes," Diho admitted, "no point lying." "What was the nature of this message?" "It was personal, flirtatious." "And how did Commander Velthas respond?" Diho hesitated. "She came to my office to discuss it." "Did she reprimand you for inappropriate conduct?" "No." Reshtar made a note on his tablet. "Did she display any emotional reactions during this conversation?" "She was professional," Diho said carefully. "That is not what I asked. Did she display emotions?" "Everyone displays emotions." "Humans do, Kryn do not, unless they are losing control." Reshtar's eyes were like chips of ice. "Did Commander Velthas show signs of emotional instability in your presence?" "She showed signs of being a complete person instead of a robot." "That is not an answer." "It's the only answer I'm giving you." Diho leaned forward. "Commander Velthas is the best officer on this station. She's fair, she's smart, and she cares about her crew. If caring is a crime in your culture, then your culture is the problem, not her." Reshtar showed no reaction. "You are aware that your statement supports the conclusion that she is emotionally compromised." "I'm aware that you've already made up your mind, and nothing I say will change it." The interview ended shortly after. Diho left feeling like he'd made things worse. Other crew members told similar stories. A pilot named Hajun testified that Velthas had risked her life to save him during the battle. An engineer named Bora said the commander had smiled at a joke once. Small things, human things, but to Reshtar they were evidence of instability. On the 3rd day, Reshtar called a formal hearing. The entire senior staff gathered in the main conference room. Commander Velthas stood at the front, facing her accuser. "After thorough investigation," Reshtar announced, "I have concluded that Commander Velthas is emotionally compromised and unfit for command. Her decisions during the recent battle were influenced by personal attachment rather than tactical necessity. Her public display of physical contact with a subordinate violates Kryn protocol. Most concerning, multiple witnesses report observing emotional reactions including concern, anger, and joy." He looked at Velthas with something that might have been pity or disgust. It was hard to tell. "You have brought shame to our people," he continued. "You have proven that emotional suppression training can fail even in adult Kryn. You are a danger to yourself and to those who serve under you." "I've never endangered my crew," Velthas said. Her voice was controlled, but Diho could hear the tremor underneath. "Every decision I made saved lives." "You abandoned your command post during battle. You risked your life for one mechanic. These are not the actions of a stable officer. These are the actions of someone who cares about her people." "Exactly." Reshtar stood. "You are hereby relieved of command, effective immediately. You will return to the Kryn homeworld for emotional reconditioning. Your service record will be reviewed to determine if you can ever hold command again." Silence filled the room. The human crew members looked horrified. Even some of the alien officers seemed uncomfortable. Veltha stood perfectly still. Her face showed nothing, but her hands were shaking. Diho stood up. There's another option. Everyone turned to look at him. Reshtar's expression didn't change, but his eyes narrowed slightly. You have no authority here, mechanic, Reshtar said. Maybe not, but I know the Galactic Council regulations. Article 73 allows officers to transfer between service branches. If Commander Velthas resigns from the Kryn fleet and accepts a commission in another military, she keeps her rank and position. No one would accept a disgraced Kryn officer, Reshtar said. The Human Defense Coalition would. Diho looked at Velthas. We don't care if our officers have emotions. We actually prefer it. We want commanders who care about their crews, who risk their own lives to save others, who show up in the hangar and hold someone's hand when they need to. Velthas stared at him. For the first time since the hearing began, emotion showed on her face. Hope, fear, uncertainty. This is ridiculous, Reshtar said. She cannot simply abandon her people. She can if her people are abandoning her first, Diho shot back. You're going to erase who she is, turn her into an emotionless shell. At least humans will let her be herself. Reshtar turned to Velthas. If you do this, you can never return to Kryn society. You will be exiled. Your family will disown you. You will lose everything you are. No, Velthas said quietly. She looked at Diho, then back at Reshtar. I'll lose everything I was supposed to be, but I'll keep everything I actually am. She stood straighter. I hereby resign my commission in the Kryn military, effective immediately. The room erupted. The Kryn delegation left the station within hours. Reshtar looked at Velthas one last time before boarding his ship. You have made a terrible mistake, he said. Without discipline, without control, you will destroy yourself. Or maybe I'll finally build myself, Velthas replied. She watched the ship leave. Diho stood beside her in the observation deck. When the ship jumped to hyperspace and vanished, she let out a long breath. I just ended my entire life, she said. No, Diho took her hand, right there in front of the windows where anyone could see. You just started it. The next days were chaos. The Human Defense Coalition needed to process her transfer. There was paperwork, interviews, medical evaluations, questions about her loyalty and intentions, but humans were pragmatic. They saw a brilliant commander who had just left her own people to join them. They accepted her. What surprised Veltha was how hard it was to exist without suppression. On her third day as a human officer, she broke down crying in her quarters. Diho found her sitting on her bed, tears streaming down her crystalline face, looking terrified. I can't stop it, she said. I don't know how to control this. There's too much. I feel too much. He sat beside her. What are you feeling right now? Everything, fear about my decision, relief that I don't have to hide anymore, anger at Reshtar, sadness about my family, joy that you're here, guilt for being happy when I should be mourning. It's all happening at once and I can't make it stop. You're not supposed to make it stop, Diho said gently. You're supposed to feel it. But it hurts. Yeah, sometimes it does. He put his arm around her shoulders. She tensed, then slowly relaxed against him. But sometimes it feels amazing. You get both. That's the deal. Over the following weeks, he taught her what humans learned as children. That crying wasn't weakness. That anger wasn't dangerous if you controlled how you expressed it, not if you suppressed the feeling entirely. That joy was meant to be shared. That sadness passed if you let yourself feel it instead of pushing it down. She was terrible at all of it at first. She laughed too loud at jokes, cried at things that weren't that sad, got angry over minor inconveniences. It was like watching someone learn to walk, stumbling, falling, getting back up. But slowly she found her balance. And the station thrived under her command. As a Kryn officer, she had been brilliant but distant. As a human officer, she was still brilliant, but now she understood her crew. She knew when someone was tired and needed rest. She recognized when a pilot was scared and needed encouragement. She celebrated victories and mourned losses with genuine emotion. "You're actually a better commander now," Ha-Jun told her one day. "Before, you made perfect decisions. Now you make the right ones." "What's the difference?" she asked. "Perfect decisions follow logic. Right decisions follow people." She thought about that for a long time. Word of her choice spread through the Kryn community. Most condemned her, called her broken, failed, a cautionary tale about the dangers of emotional weakness. But some reached out quietly, through encrypted messages, anonymous contacts. "I understand why you left," one message said. "I've been holding back tears for 30 years. I don't know how much longer I can do this." "My daughter smiles when she thinks no one is watching," another wrote. "I'm afraid they'll notice. I'm afraid they'll take her away for reconditioning. What you did gives me hope there's another path." Velthas read every message, responded to each one. She became a symbol she never intended to be, proof that Kryn could survive without suppression. That feeling wasn't fatal. Her relationship with Di-Ho grew slowly, carefully. They took time to understand each other, her learning to express emotions, him learning to recognize when she needed space to process them. 6 months after she resigned her commission, Di-Ho finished a long shift and checked his messages. One from Velthas waited for him. "Your eyes remind me of the warmth I never knew I was missing. Think you could teach me more about this human warmth you mentioned?" He smiled, typed back, "I thought you'd never ask, Commander." She was waiting for him in her quarters, not his cold, superior officer, not the Ice Queen of Frontier Station Kira's 7, just Velthas. Her crystalline blue skin seemed to glow in the soft light. Those winter sky eyes watched him with warmth instead of frost. "I've been thinking," she said as he entered, "about that almost kiss in your office before the battle." "I think about it too," Di-Ho admitted. "We were interrupted. Terrible timing." She stepped closer. "I'm not very good at this yet, the emotions, the expressing. Sometimes I still default to cold and distant because it's familiar." "I know. And I might need reminders, that it's okay to feel, that I won't fall apart if I let myself be warm instead of frozen." "I can do that," Di-Ho said. "Good." She reached up and cupped his face. Her hand didn't shake this time. "Because I'm done being ice, I want to try fire." She kissed him. It wasn't perfect. She was still learning, still figuring out how to express what she felt, but it was real, warm, full of everything she'd been holding back for her entire life. When they finally pulled apart, she was smiling, actually smiling. The expression looked strange on her face, beautiful but unfamiliar, like watching winter turn to spring. "How was that?" she asked. "Worth the wait," Di-Ho said. "Definitely worth the wait." She laughed. The sound was unpracticed, a little too loud, completely genuine. "My people would say I'm broken," she said, "that I've lost control, that I'm a failure." "Your people are wrong. I used to be perfect ice. Now I'm messy and emotional and I cry at sad movies. Now you're real." She rested her forehead against his. "Thank you for the message, for being reckless enough to teach me I could be more than frost. Thank you for knocking on my hangar door." They stood together in the quiet of her quarters. Outside, the stars turned slowly. The station hummed with life. Somewhere in the galaxy, the Kryn maintained their perfect emotional control, their ice walls, their frost. But here, in this moment, Velthas was warm. And she was free. 3 months later, Di-Ho was working in the hangar when Velthas came to find him. She held a datapad. "I've been approved for a promotion," she said. "Captain, they want me to command a deep space exploration vessel." "That's amazing," Di-Ho hugged her. She hugged back without hesitation now. "You deserve it." "There's a mechanic position available on the ship." She pulled back to look at him. "Head of engineering, It's yours if you want it. Are you asking me to leave the station? I'm asking you to come with me, she smiled. That still new, still practicing smile that made his heart skip. Turns out I'm terrible at long-distance relationships. Too many emotions. I need someone nearby to help me process them all. Is this professional or personal? He teased. Both, always both. She took his hand. So what do you say? Want to teach an ex-Grin Ice Queen how to be warm while exploring the universe? D-Ho looked around the hangar, his home for 3 years, his small office, his familiar ships. Then he looked at Veltha's, at the woman who had knocked on his door because of a drunk message, who had learned to feel again, who chose warmth over frost. Yeah, he said, I really do. They left the station 2 weeks later, together, heading into deep space where no one cared that she used to be Kryn or that he was just a mechanic who sent a flirty message to his boss. Out there, they were just two people who refused to accept that walls were permanent, who looked at impossible and asked, why not? Who proved that sometimes the most human thing you could do was help someone else discover their own humanity, even if they weren't human at all. On their first night aboard the new ship, Velthas found D-Ho in the engine room. She stood in the doorway watching him work. He looked up and smiled. Come here often, Commander. Captain now, she corrected, then grinned. And yes, I hear the head of engineering is very handsome. Thought I'd flirt with him. Scandalous, D-Ho said. What would your people say? I don't care what they say anymore. She walked over and kissed him. I only care what I feel. And what she felt was warm,